very much, Count Corland. At the outset, I'd like to acknowledge the presentation yesterday by the Minister for Finance and Public Expenditure and Reform, Paschal Donohoe, on introducing a budget of $59.2 billion on the current side and $7.3 billion on the capital side, and in doing so to acknowledge the work of the officials in both departments. This budget, Count Corla, is being presented to the Dáil in contrast with the budgets that were presented from Fine Gael and Labour first entered government in 2011, and it has been done on the back of record employment levels that have been achieved in the Irish economy that has allowed the government to arrive at a situation where almost €66.7 billion could be laid out in expenditure yesterday. I want to just touch on a number of small points, particularly in relation to the greatest threat that's out on the horizon, which was referred to a while ago by the Taoiseach, and that being Brexit. The most important insulation that the Irish economy and that the Irish people can have in relation to the unknown known that's out on the horizon from Brexit is to make sure that we have a balanced economy, a balanced set of finances and prudent expenditure. I think yesterday you saw an example of that from the Minister for Finance. Within the budget as well, there's just a number of areas that I specifically want to welcome, specifically the changes that have been made in the areas of social welfare, which see significant increases across the rates and across the bands. This includes a €5 increase for recipients, and as well as that, the restoration of the Christmas bonus. Other payments as well have seen increases, and coupled with this, we have also been able to introduce a tax package worth €291 million, which will see people in terms of USC income tax payments being reduced and being resulted in them over a successive number of years since this government came into office, seeing a greater level of take-home pay. On top of that, on the expenditure side, people across the country will see increases in the number of teachers, SNAs, nurses, guards, the things that have always been sought in this House over many years from both sides of the House, to make sure that the quality of life that we as a government can ensure that the people across the country can enjoy are able to be done through our public services that have also, over the last number of years, taken their own difficulties and their own hits, and with the negotiations that have been led by Minister Donohoe and others, we have thankfully seen a restoration in that area as well. In the area of agriculture, something which is very important in my own constituency, I welcome the fact that the Minister for Agriculture, Michael Creed, and Minister Donohoe have agreed to the continuation of the stock reliefs, which are very important, both in terms of existing farmers and as well as that for younger farmers entering the sector. That, and together with the beef environmental efficiency pilot scheme, which has been introduced by Minister Donohoe and Minister Creed, will also play a big part, particularly in my own constituency where there is large exposure to the beef industry. Increased expenditure as well in the area of Board Bia will allow for the continued marketing of our products abroad, again in an attempt to insulate any impact that may happen from what is out on the horizon by way of Brexit. Particularly as well, I want to welcome the introduction of the Film Corporation Tax credit on a regionalised basis. As Deputy O'Sullivan, who is in the Chamber, and myself and others know, this is a very important aspect for Limerick, as we have seen the development of a film studio in the Midwest for the first time in Tri-Studios, and I hope that this will incentivise the creation of greater employment in that sector in the Midwestern region. As well as that, I would also like to welcome the fact that Minister Michael Ring has secured an additional €57 million, again very important from the point of view of the constituency that I represent, in relation to the capital investments that can be made through initiatives like the Town and Village Renewal Scheme and others. Over the last number of years as a government, we have tried to make sure that we have spent the profits of the economic growth that has been sustained, particularly over the last number of years where we have reached record levels of employment in this country. The only way we're going to be able to continue that is by making sure that the economy is managed in a prudent way. So what you have seen yesterday, Count Corla, is an attempt by the government to make sure that the future economic fortunes of the country will be insulated to the best degree possible. We have also seen in that time that we have been able to invest in our public services, invest particularly for demographic changes for our young people, and as well as that for older people who require additional services. We would ultimately like to see this continue, and I know that over the period of time ahead this will be one of the challenges as we enter into a period of negotiation and hopefully certainty in relation to the United Kingdom's decision to exit the European Union. But on an overall basis, we were set a challenge when this government came into office, Fine Gael, the Independent Alliance, Independence, and with the cooperation of Fianna Fáil through Confidence and Supply to manage the country's finances and to grow employment. We've done that. We're going to maintain maintain our level of growth. The level of growth that's being projected over the next number of years is sustained, and it is worth pointing out that the level of expenditure between the years 2014 and 2019 is less than half of the same period from the period of 2004 to 2009. I welcome the budget, Count Corla. I think it is a fair and balanced budget that will make the biggest impact possible across the country.
Thank you, Minister.